Around the Ozarks is now on your FM radio. Listen to Around the Ozarks mornings with Grace Gooley as I spotlight local people, stories, and podcasts, all while playing the country legends of the 90s and the hit makers of the 2000s. It's on the Ozarks Best Country, 105.1 The Bull.
Hi, this is Joy Robertson. As many of you know, I love food. I love finding new restaurants. I love trying new dishes. And most of all, I love talking to the many great restaurateurs and entrepreneurs we have here in the Ozarks and beyond. I love hearing their stories, and that's what this podcast is all about, learning more about them and their journey. So join me as we savor the Ozarks. This episode is brought to you by Jim's Steakhouse and Pub and Springfield's locally owned Fazoli's. I'm sitting at one of the liveliest places in this town on East Battlefield Road, PaPPo's Pizzeria, and I've got PaPPo's sitting right in front of me, Chris Galloway. I want to hear the backstory of PaPPo's. When did you start this wildly popular pizzeria that is starting to franchise now? When did it get started? Give me the backstory.
Okay. So the backstory is it goes back to the Lake of the Ozarks, and there was a building, and a gentleman that I worked with, I was a broker selling real estate, and he knew that I had been in the pizza business. I was in the pizza business for about 20 years, and I had, at one time or another, quite a number of stores.
Where?
Mostly in St. Louis, but some in Chicago. And it was a major company, and I had gotten very disillusioned because, and really, if we go way back, really to the roots, it goes back to my grandparents and my mother. And my family's from Italy. And so when you grow up an Italian boy, my mother was Sant'Antonio. My dad was actually Scotch-Irish. And so, but I never associated myself with Scotch. I thought I was an Italian boy because every Sunday was this big Italian feast. And the food was just amazing that my mother would make, or my grandparents, or my Aunt Rita. And so every Sunday was a feast. So when I became a franchisee with a large chain, I was a very frustrated person because I saw what they were doing with the food. I was young. I was in my early 20s. Didn't really know any better in terms of, just kind of following the script. And we were making most of the food in the back of the store. Well, then that changed. Next thing you know, they're cheapening up everything. They're selling cheese that's not real. It's fake cheese that's oil-based and is sprayed on flavoring. The top three chains, it's a known fact. They get their cheese from one place, the Leprano Cheese Company, and it comes in frozen, and if you thaw it out too quickly, it'll turn to oil. And then, they were putting additives in the sausage and, all the toppings and things like that. And everything comes in a package, and you open a package. So
the Italian boy in you ain't having it.
No. And the worst thing was, one time they had a pizza with garlic in the crust, and you're cooking on a surface, you're cooking at about 600 degrees. If you cook garlic at 600 degrees, it's going to get bitter. And so I knew that was a big-time rookie move. And I started to become disenchanted, and then I sold out, and I got out, and I became a realtor, a broker up in the Lake of the Ozarks area. And there was this building that was a gas station C-store, brand new building, beautiful building. And the owner said, "Hey, I want you to go in there and make, and you're the pizza guy. I want you to go in there and make pizzas, and you buy the building. I'll finance the whole thing." And I said no for about a year. And then finally I said, okay, I'll do it. He made me such a good deal. I said, I'll do it as long as I can make all the food from scratch. And he goes, I don't care what you do. He goes, just as long as you go in there and, pay the, the utilities and occupy the building. Because it was in a slower part of the lake, which is the west side. It was called the Village Market. And so we were in there making, pizzas and sandwiches and breakfast, everything we could from scratch. Well, the backstory is that my daughter Brianna, who many people in this town, Springfield, we're in Springfield, would know her because she went to school here. She went to OTC first, and then she went to MSU. And her boyfriend, John, would come up to the lake to visit, and would eventually they were like, we need to take like 10 pizzas back to Springfield. And so I was kind of flattered, and so they took them back and they said, okay, here's the deal. We go back with these pizzas, and these friends of ours that go to MSU, they want you to open. Everybody wants you to open down in Springfield. So I found, I should say, a restaurant that had closed down downtown called the Galloway Bistro, and I contacted Jan Hyde. So if Jan Hyde's listening, she owned the gallery upstairs, and she had that space, and she got inundated with people. I saw it I somewhere online that it was available, and it was supposedly turnkey. Well, it wasn't as turnkey as you would think. So I was going to go to open the first. I knew that I had something with a pizza up at the lake because we had people standing in line, waiting in line to get pizza on Friday, Saturday.
And this was at a convenience store where people were standing in line.
And really, to fill in the gaps there, I had to come up with my own crust recipe, sauce recipe, what cheese I wanted to put on it. So I was kind of fanatical, saying I just want the best of everything. So we used non-bromated, unbleached flour. I started using crushed tomatoes, freshly shredding the cheese, and using 100% real dairy cheese. So fast forward a little bit, 2012, I say to Brianna and her boyfriend at the time, John, because he couldn't get a job, and she was frustrated because he was kind of sitting around laying on the couch or whatever, kind of depressed because he had graduated from MSU, but he couldn't get a job in construction management. So I said to them, if you want to open something or you want to run it, I'll open it, you run it, and I'll put up the recipes, I'll figure out the menu, I'll do all those things, but you're going to run it because I live at the lake. And so that's exactly how that went down. And I sent my son Michael down here, who had been working at the Village Market up in Sunrise Beach, and he knew all the recipes. So I put him in as the kitchen manager, and then Michael and I went crazy. We were like he's like, I want to use fresh jalapenos, and I'm like, wow, how do we do that? And then he's like, I want to use fresh pineapple, and I'm like, okay, everything is fresh. And so I figured out a recipe to caramelize the pineapple so it softened it up a little bit. And if you have it's made with brown sugar, and people love our pineapple. They love our goat pizza and our Hawaiian pizza. So we went down the line and we said, whatever it is, we're going to make our own sausage. We're going to prep our own ground meat. We're going to cut all our own veggies. We're going to make all our own dough, obviously, make our own sauce every day. And we use our dough is a fermented dough, so it has a lot of flavor in it.
Okay, let me just stop you for a second. Am I right that your dad or your grandfather, one, taught you to bake bread? And from that bread came your recipe essentially for crust, am I right?
Yeah, you did your homework.
I did, I tried.
Good job. Yeah, so, my first wife had passed away from cancer. And
I'm so sorry.
That's about 25 years ago.
Wow.
And my dad had come to stay, and he was in this bread baking mode. And he's like, would you like to bake bread with me? And I'm like, absolutely. And if your dad ever says that to you or anybody in your family, come and help me make something, do it. I'm teaching my grandkids now how to bake bread. Anyway.
I baked bread with my dad, but barely. And he made incredible bread, and then he made cinnamon rolls. And I always said I was going to shoot a video of him doing it, and I didn't, and he's gone.
Yeah.
And it's one of the biggest regrets of my life. So words of wisdom right there. You're absolutely right about that.
Definitely. And my dad used to make cinnamon rolls, too. They were the best. But from that understanding of how bread baking worked, I spent the next 10 years trying to figure out how to bake good bread, and I never could figure it out. The bread was literally it was too hard. It had too hard of a crust. It wasn't very good. And then somewhere in the process, when this gentleman asked me to take over the village market, I had to very quickly come up with pizza recipes with the crust recipe and the bread recipe. And so the good Lord, I know he was helping me with it, because the recipes I came up with, the amount of water, the amount of sugar, amount of salt, amount of olive oil, all those things that go into the pizza dough. We have 6 ingredients. I figured it out, and it just fell into my lap, into my mind, basically. So we have never changed that recipe. We never ever have changed it, and we haven't changed the recipe for the sauce. And all these things. We're just about to open up at the village market. We're like a week away, and I had to come up with all those things. And then we came to Springfield. Like I said, we took it to the next level, and so we opened downtown in 2012, and that was a great experience. It just started off with a bang, and this community, it just welcomed us, especially the MSU students.
Well, I was wondering which came first. I couldn't remember if Battlefield was first or if downtown, but now that you sort of are refreshing this story, I do remember, because this building we're in now on Battlefield used to be something different. That's when you expanded down here. This is a big restaurant down here.
Yeah. And so the downtown came first. And it was interesting when we opened, because we had been so busy trying to get our liquor license and trying to finish building it out and doing everything and just putting the money together and everything. We did get a loan from the city. It was a low interest loan. I think it was like a HUD loan type thing for like $40,000, which was paid off. But the second store, but anyway, as we got into it, I said to John and Brianna, I said, "How are we going to let anybody know we're open here?" And they said, "Oh, we're on Twitter and we're on, I guess it's called X now, but." We're on
Facebook, I'm sure.
Facebook, Twitter, and I hadn't really gotten into any of that stuff back in 2012, really. And they were on Instagram or something, I don't know. But anyway, we had a packed house. We are liquor licensed at 3, opened at 5 o'clock, and the place was packed. And so I would come down on the weekends, get off of work, drive down, and after about a month and a half, they were able to make it without me. Because at the very beginning, I was the only one that really, Michael and I, my son were the only people that really knew how to make pizzas. And so we were doing a lot of business. We got named Best Pizza by MSU. 417 came out and did an article. And we were just kind of off to the races. So a year and a half later, there was a site in Osage Beach that was available. It was the old Wobbly Boots building right in the center of Osage Beach. And I was a little reluctant to go in there, but my wife had looked at it and said, it's amazing. It's got a lot of character, tin ceilings and all wood bars, and really a cool, kind of a dive bar place with wood floors and everything. So I thought during the wintertime, though, we were going to be really, really slow. And I'm a worrying kind of guy when it comes to making enough money to stay in business. Well, it turned out to be not true. The off season was really busy. The season was absolutely a rocket ship. And we started setting all kinds of records, and we won best pizza there. And they put us on the cover of this magazine called Lake Lifestyles. So we were off to the races there. So then we began thinking we should open more of these. And my son Warren joined me, and some family members. Michael was already with me, and we said, okay, let's try another one down in Springfield, and so then we opened in Columbia, and next was St. Robert, and then we went down to Huntsville, Alabama, and opened it. My son Jamie wanted to get into the business, and he was in Nashville, and we couldn't find a site in Nashville, so he moved down to Huntsville, which turned out to be a really good move for him. Huntsville's a really cool city, and it's the center of, they make rockets down there. They call it Rocket City, and it's a very happening city. So we opened there. We're just about to open our second store down there. And then
Is that where Space School is,
Yes.
or whatever? Okay, yeah. I always wanted to do that.
So if you want to go down there, there's the museum, the Space Museum, and it shows the rockets and all of how that was developed and how Huntsville had a big impact on that. And from there, we went to Jeff City. From Jeff City, we opened huge records weeks in Jeff City. And then we went to Branson and opened in Branson. And then we had a franchisee open in Lee's Summit. We had a franchisee open up in Fairview Heights. And now we've opened in Camdenton, Missouri. We have a new store going into Nixa. That's under construction. I look for that sometime in March, late March probably. And then we are going into O'Fallon, Missouri. That's going to be a corporate store. Like I said, we have a corporate store going into Huntsville, second store. But we now have a franchisee, the same franchisee, Casey Richards, from Lee's Summit. She's doing extremely well, just had a record week up there. She's going into Overland Park. And she's got a location like this size here, like 5,000 or 6,000 square feet in Overland Park, 85th and Metcalf, which is a really, really great area. And then we have a franchisee going into Washington, Missouri. And what you and I were talking about before we got on air here is that we have a group going into Destin, Florida. And it's going to be right on 98, right down near the water park and the Target on 98. And it's just going to be awesome. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and it all started here in Springfield.
What a success story. And I think I said at the beginning of this podcast that you were starting to franchise. I think I'm a little late to the party. You've been franchising. Amazing, all of the locations you have. I was not aware of that. Were you born and raised in St. Louis?
No, I was actually born in Washington, D.C., raised till I was 13 in Richmond, Virginia, which you can tell I lost that accent. Moved to Cleveland, Lakewood, Ohio, Cleveland, west side of Cleveland. Ended up going to a school, Lakewood High, 4,000 kids. And I was kind of this southern boy, innocent southern boy, went up to Cleveland. And that's where I went to high school. My grandparents lived in Cleveland. So we went there, and my dad was starting a new business up there. And so I had a run in Cleveland, and then ended up franchising in Jefferson City, Missouri, and then opening franchises for the other company I was with. The Big Pizza Company. I opened franchises in St. Louis, and then I ended up with about 11 locations in the Chicago area. So I think at one time or another I had 33 locations. So I'm a very unusual person, because I think that multi-unit food is a great opportunity, and I love it. But I really, really love great food more than anything. But I love the idea of building an organization, and that's what we're doing. Is we're leveraging off of this made from scratch food, and we have 32 beers on tap. We're leveraging off of the core, where that's what the people want, and that's the thing, is if you figure out what are the people looking for, they're tired of this pizza that they eat that has, wood pulp in the cheese and is frozen, and then they have, they put high fructose corn syrup in the sauce, and the sauce is prepackaged. And there's a major pizza company out there that actually uses Chef Boyardee canned sauce for their sauce. And then they don't make the sausage. They buy that sausage, and it has fillers in it. So, one of the things that I would really like, hopefully that we mentioned today, is with the number of allergies out there, we really, really hit the bullseye with things like gluten-free. Right. Our sausage, for example, has no fillers in it. 99% of the sausage out there has fillers, so people have gluten problems, can't eat it. Same with our beef. Alpha-Gal, we have really worked hard, and our system lends itself to helping those people that have Alpha-Gal be able to come in and enjoy a pizza, and they literally start crying because they're eating a real pizza. And same with the gluten-free people. We have cauliflower crust, we have gluten-free crust, we have vegan cheese, really good vegan cheese. We have lots of veggies. We have chicken, shrimp. Chicken and shrimp are probably the two proteins that they could eat. Some people have dairy issues with Alpha-Gal. Alpha-Gal's, for those that don't know, this is the ground zero. Springfield is really ground zero for Alpha-Gal, the lake, the whole Ozark area. And you get bit by a tick, and then you develop this allergy to mammalian meat, and some people to dairy as well. And I've actually have had it myself for 39 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I had it for 20 years. I got it in 1987 was the first time I went to the hospital, and nobody knew what it was for 20 years. In 2006, they played bingo down at the University of Virginia, and they put two and two together and said, okay, people are having this problem. They were actually taking cancer drugs, and they were having this allergic reaction to these cancer drugs, but because they had bovine in the cancer drug. So then they had these other people that would go out to eat, and then 6 hours later would have anaphylactic shock. And so they figured it out that it was a tick, and I was kind of relieved because nobody that I ever met had what I had, and even my family was like, what the heck do you? and everybody, Once I was in the hospital, and of course they were all afraid that I would eat something, that had meat in it.
Well, and it amazes me that you were able to pull off a career in the food business and in the pizza business, having this. And I'm assuming part of that time you didn't really know what it was. Did you even know to avoid meat at that time?
Early on, I did not, but I started having reactions. And I thought, I didn't know what it was. And this one doctor said, keep track of what you eat. So I started noticing that if I had like a hamburger or something like that at lunch, that I was having that reaction later. So luckily, my doctor advised abstinence. And the problem with it is that, especially going out to eat somewhere, is that there's cross-contamination. And I haven't had, knock on wood, I haven't had any issues, for quite a while because I'm so careful. But when I designed the PaPPo's model, what was great is that I didn't have the dairy aspect of things, so I was able to train my crew to be able to make pizzas for me, and they were always afraid of. I guess I had to be nice to them because, it could just be a little sliver of meat that gets in the cheese or something, and so. It became a thing where, okay, PaPPo's in the house. He's gonna have, a pizza. Let's make sure he can eat it.
Yeah, let's don't hurt the boss. That would be ill-advised to make the boss ill. Yeah.
It would be, I think, and so we ended up when all of a sudden it was like a friend of mine said his 3-year-old son had it. And then somebody else said, we got some people coming in and say they got alpha-gal. And next thing you know, it's everywhere. Branson, we opened Branson. Half our crew was alpha-gal. And we had 60 people that we had hired.
That's amazing. Fun fact, I have alpha-gal, but I don't have symptoms. I never did. They found it through a random allergy test. And I got so tired of... turkey bacon in the summertime, it's just not the same on a BLT. So I said, screw it. I don't have symptoms. I have an EpiPen, but I've never had to use it. I've never had any symptoms. I'm very, very fortunate. Are you the sick at your stomach alpha-gal person, or are you the lock up and I can't breathe alpha-gal?
I am the hives anaphylactic shock kind, where my blood pressure goes down. But if you have been tested, there are quite a few instances where the tests are not correct. So you might try to get retested, because the ultimate test, as my doctor says, and he's kind of specializing in it now, this Dr. Lachelle up in Jeff City, he's given seminars on it. Really, the ultimate test is if you eat mammalian meat and you have a problem, you have it. If you don't, you might have a false test. So you might want to get retested. Do you eat meat?
I had a big old steak sandwich last night.
Okay.
I left over from the steak I had probably the night before. And I was blood tested. It showed that I had it. And then I went back about a year later after avoiding it, and it was even worse.
Yeah.
But wow. The blood test showed even the alpha-gal was more intense. I don't know the word for it. And they said, you know what, don't worry about the dairy thing. Go ahead and eat dairy again, thank God.
Yeah.
And then I finally just said, I'm just done with this. And I know it's probably a little dangerous, but I told my doctor, and she goes, well, some people are different. Some do and some don't.
There's no way that I could have a steak sandwich. There's no way I could even eat a sliver of steak. So what I would say is, hey, maybe you had it and it's dissipated, because that could happen too. My level has gone down from like off the charts over 10 to where I'm at about 3. Now, here's the secret. Don't get bit again, when you're out in the woods. And like we were down in Branson, and we've got a place down there we stay at, and we go walking down by the lake, and we're in the woods. So I have to be careful and check and all that. But anyway, so we've really become a place where people come for allergies. But, people come also because of the friendly staff that we have. And that's the biggest surprise for me. I could make a pizza and know, okay, I know that's good pizza, right? And we come down here, and I get pizza here from Brad. He's our general manager here. And by the way, they just had a record week here. And they're just killing it down here. They got a great crew. And so I come down here and get phenomenal pizza from Brad. And you would say, okay, he owns the place. But, a lot of times, you cook at home and you don't like your own cooking like somebody else. So sometimes I have that kind of feeling like, is this really that good? And we'll come in here. With the last 2 times I've been in here, phenomenal pizza. They're doing a great job. And so you come in here, and they I don't know, you got 50, 60 young people pretty much that work here. And
this is just in one restaurant.
Yeah, and they just have the greatest attitude. They love PaPPo's. Sometimes they come up and want my autograph, which kind of floors me, because I feel like I'm the privileged one to have them working for me. But you go to so many places and people don't care, and we do. I mean, I'm not saying we don't have. Sometimes people are having a bad day or something like that. But we typically will weed people out that don't have a real great attitude, friendliness. And I hear people talking down on young people, and I interrupt them pretty quickly. And I say, it's not the young people. It's the expectation that you put on them. And if you ask them to do nothing or very little, or you allow them to have a sour attitude, they're going to have a sour attitude. And I know you have a daughter. And I guarantee your daughter has a good attitude because you approach life that way.
I have 2 daughters, and I hope that they. I tend to be a very laid-back person. I tend to have fun wherever I go. I'm pretty laid back. Yeah. I like to. I mean, that's just the way I choose to do things.
Yeah, I know you're.
You know what I mean?
Person because you made pizza here one time.
Yes, I did. And I when I first met you was when I was at Ozarks Live, and I saw something on your social media, and it said you were doing a Reuben pizza for St. Patrick's Day. And I'm like, that was a while back, and I'm like, well, I got to talk to the guy who does a Reuben pizza, and I got to have a Reuben pizza, and you just said, come on over.
I drove all the way down here, and then we made Reuben pizza, and so Reuben we're going to do it again. We do it every year.
Oh yeah.
But it has the corned beef, and it has sauerkraut, and then it has Thousand Island dressing for the base.
It's killer.
Yeah, it's really good. And I substitute chicken for, and I don't have the dairy part, so I can do that. And I guess you could probably do this. It's got sauerkraut on there, which is very good for you. And we made pizza, and then another time you made pizza.
Yeah.
And it was during COVID and stuff. Oh my gosh. And we were so busy, and then you came in and you had all this jewelry on, and you're making pizza with all the jewelry bling. It was just you were trying to throw it up in the air.
That was really fun. I was right back there behind the glass, and I was and it was funny because it was a live show, and you've got a monitor back there that shows orders that are coming in. And I remember a couple of them came in while we were on the air that said, I want whatever they're talking about right now. Remember that? They said, this is so funny, the phone's ringing, like immediately right now. People are watching.
I think you're right. Yeah, I remember that. We were live, and they wanted to order whatever was being made.
Yeah, that's so funny. But it was so much fun, and I enjoyed being here. And I mean, my God, the food is amazing. But and let's talk about the food. You mentioned the different crusts. I guess kind of your hand tossed, is that the house favorite?
Yes, we sell probably 60% hand tossed, and then we sell probably 10% or 15% cauliflower or gluten-free. The cauliflower has turned out to be a huge seller because it's got a reduced amount of carbs in it, but it tastes great and it crisps up nicely, and it doesn't have a bunch of junk in it. The thin crust is another popular. We took over for I'm not going to mention the name of the pizza company we took over for here, but they had a bunch of locations in Arkansas, and they made deep dish pizza. And I know from my time in the pizza business in Missouri that Missourians, the ones that want an alternative to the hand toss, they want thin crust. They typically don't want the deep dish. Now, I'm not saying they never want it or nobody wants it, but I'm saying it's just a small number, because we used to sell it at the other company I was with, and it was only like 5% of the mix. So we came in here with our hand toss and our thin crust and our gluten-free and cauliflower. And we've been open here for 7 years. And it kind of cruised along for the first 3 or 4 years. It was like, okay, we're doing good. We're busy, but we could probably do more. We have a big restaurant. And then we had a young man that went to school here that was from the lake, Max Maples, and he became the manager here. And we started doing a lot of stuff with Ozarks Live, and we started really pushing it, and we started going up 30%, and then the next year 30%, and we're still, like I said, he was up 40% last week here. He was up the highest amount in the entire company at this location on 900 East Battlefield. So if you're out there and you haven't tried PaPPo's, you might want to come in and check it out. We have a great bar. We have a full bar. We have, I think it's 28 beers on tap here. The bar is kind of a little separate area with higher tables and chairs, and bar height, obviously.
When you mentioned you have a whole bunch of beers on tap, I'm assuming in your different markets you do local beers there too?
We try to do as many local beers as we can, but we also do. There's some national beers. Sure. It's like, remember when you used to go to Baskin Robbins and they had 32 flavors or something like that, and it's kind of like that to where we don't have the same beers all the time. We do have some beer, and we actually have PaPPo's beers. We have somebody who brews PaPPo's beers for us. Nice. We have a really good beer called a Monk's Communion. It's a darker beer, but it's not bitter. It's very smooth, and it's got 11% alcohol. We've got a Big PaPPo, which is about a 7 or 8% IPA called the Big PaPPo. So we have a Yes Please, which is almost like a Blue Moon. It's an easy drinking. Mm-hmm. And then we have a variety of other beers. And the managers, that's one area that they control. They decide what to bring in, and their favorite customers that come in, they listen to them, and like, for example, our harder liquor, if somebody comes in and says, hey, I want Woodford, or I want something, and do you have it? We will we'll keep it here as long as you commit to coming in and drinking it. Right. So we have full bar, and then we've got a large dining area that we host tons of parties here. This is Party Central. We get birthdays, all kind. We've even done, wedding rehearsal dinners and things like that. Yeah, and some people have actually taken. You can get the whole bar. I think there's about 60 seats in the bar, and reserve the bar if you have a party.
That would be a fun party for sure.
Some people check the weather. Others check our soup of the day. Hi, this is Jim with Jim's Steakhouse and Pub. Our soup of the day changes, but the comfort never does. Just check with your server, because nothing takes the edge off a cold day like whatever's simmering at Jim's.
When you walk through those legendary doors, you're gonna find there's so much to love. So do yourself a favor, dig that service and flavor. Jim's Steakhouse and Pub.
When is the perfect occasion to use Fazoli's catering? Studies have shown everyone loves Fazoli's signature pasta dishes, pizza, salads, and those famous breadsticks, which means Fazoli's is the perfect choice for any occasion. Nothing completes the winter season like a pasta party catered by Fazoli's. Every day is a good day for Italian, which means it's always the right time for Fazoli's. Your next catered event is just a click away at Fazoli's.com.
Fazoli's.
Well, and your menu is extensive, Chris. I mean, holy cow, I want to talk about, the pizza-wise, you've got everything under the sun. Hawaiian, there's a blackened shrimp, there's a breakfast pizza. Oh, the hot honey pepperoni. I haven't even had that yet, but I would love to. Barbecue, Philly steak or chicken. Oh, the PaPPo's meat lover. Is that what I started to say? Is that one of your favorites? That's not fair for me to ask you.
No, but that is one of our top sellers. And we have we have a kitchen sink. I always wanted to name a pizza the kitchen sink. Mm-hmm. So if you want to name something, start the concept yourself, and then you can name it.
And you can name it. There was a place in Little Rock, I don't know if it's still there, it was called Ariana's Pizza, and they had the sweeps. And essentially what they said, you sweep the floor and put everything on there. It was a sweeps. Yeah. And I remember, so you're right. Here's a prosciutto, shrimp scampi. These are all pizzas. a wild buffalo, apple bourbon pulled pork. Yes, please. Here's a white pizza. Here's a pesto and mozzarella. The goat. Olive oil glaze with fresh spinach, fresh minced garlic, caramelized onions, caramelized pineapple that you referred to earlier, topped with goat and mozzarella cheese. I'll bet you do.
So my wife, Melissa, shout out, she came up with that pizza, and it's a very interesting combination with the garlic, and then it's got the olive oil, and it's got the caramelized pineapple, and it's one of our top sellers. I couldn't believe that it would become that. But if you ever have it, it's so different, but it's so good. It's like, and that's the whole thing with these combinations. You have to test them and try them. And, one pet peeve I have is like, people that get educated, go to culinary or whatever, and then they come out of school and they want to put rosemary or thyme or something into everything. And, so I try to be very traditional about my combinations. Certainly the goat is a untraditional, but we have things like the Italian tomato and cheese. We've got the old deluxe pizza, which is the pepperoni, sausage, mushrooms, onions, green peppers. One of the first pizzas I ever learned how to make. So we have some unusual pizzas, but we have the traditional as well. And if you want to build your own, we've got 13 different cheeses or so. We've got 8 or 9 different sauces. We've got 45 or so toppings that you can put on there. All the cheese is shredded fresh every day.
Didn't you have a contest recently? And what reminds me of that was there was one here that has the arugula on the top. What's that? Tell me about that.
Which do you want me to tell you about? The one.
Okay, the prosciutto di Parma is the one I see on your menu. Olive oil glaze, mozzarella, parmesan, thin sliced prosciutto, caramelized onions, and after bake crisp arugula, which I'm a big fan of arugula. But you had a contest recently, and I think these folks came up with their own recipe. Is that right?
Yes, and the winner was actually a pizza that was called the Delicious.
Yes.
And if you haven't tried that, you need to come in here and try that, because it really is what they say. And
it's not on the regular menu, right? Are these things that if they're popular enough, maybe one day they will be?
Yeah, it is available to be ordered, and here's what it has on it. It's on hand tossed. You can do it on thin crust too, or if you want to do it on one of the alternative crust. It's got pesto sauce on the base. We make pesto here, and it is so good. It's made the way it should be with the pine nuts and the fresh basil. We then put shredded mozzarella, provolone, and then blackened chicken, caramelized onions, and fresh minced garlic. And not necessarily in all that order, because we usually put the provolone on top. But we made that, and we put it out. It's on the menu. It's not on the. It's off menu, but we made it the first time. We were floored how good it was. So if that turns out to be a good seller, that may end up being on the permanent menu as we go forward.
So that was one that people could order, and based on your crowd response, I guess that became the winner. Your appetizers alone, there were a couple of things I wanted to make sure that I mentioned. Joan's meatballs, for one thing. Who's Joan?
Oh, okay. So Joan is my mother.
Okay, I wondered. Yeah.
Yeah, God rest her soul. And she taught me how to make meatballs. Kind of a funny story, because after my first wife passed away, I had 4 kids, and I had to learn how to. I was kind of a guy that cooked a little bit, but very functional cook, and never really made the pasta sauce or the meatballs. And so I had Melissa when I started dating Melissa, she was going to come over, and I wanted to impress her. So I called my mother and said, hey, how do I make meatballs and sauce? And so she gave me the recipe over the phone, and I made them. And then Melissa ends up really taking the meatballs to the next level. She added a little bit of pepper in there, red pepper, not much, just a little, for some flavor. She was using red onions versus white onions. And so we ended up with the Jones meatballs. And it really is the basis of the recipe is passed down from about 5 generations. These Italians, my grandfather came over on the boat and in 1903.
Wow.
And so they brought recipes with them, and they never varied from, and whoever made the best sauce, everybody's thought their sauce was the best, right? And they really took pride in. As I grew up as a kid, I would go eat pasta somewhere or meatballs or whatever, and I was like, wow, this is not good. and so that's in my DNA, and so that's what made it easy for me to, or not easy, nothing's easy, right? But it made it put me on the right track. We're not an Italian restaurant per se, but we have a lot of the Italian things that we make here, products that we make, are steeped in the good way, the Italian way, and the it's fresh, and that's the way. If you ever look at an Italian recipe, it's like 5 or fewer ingredients and fresh ingredients.
Right. Okay, here's one that I'll bet did not come over on the boat. The Parmesan balsamic roasted Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts have been having a moment for a few years. They used to kind of be the butt of jokes. Nobody wanted their Brussels sprouts. Now everybody wants their Brussels sprouts. But when you trick them out like that, is that a bestseller?
It is a very high seller. I don't know if it's a best, but it definitely is a... And so here's what we do. This is the way we roll. We get fresh, whole Brussels sprouts. We don't buy the chopped up pieces, and we get the good Brussels sprouts, and then we trim them ourselves, and again we run them through our oven and caramelize them a little bit, and then we can run them back through when people order them. When they come out, we put our balsamic vinaigrette, our balsamic reduction sauce, I should say. That was something that my daughter Brianna brought to the company because she did go to culinary school, and it is really, really good. So we have people that try to make it, and they go home and my wife got a text one time from a friend of hers, said, what do you guys do? We're trying to make these Brussels sprouts, and they're just not the same. And it really is that balsamic reduction sauce is really key to the whole thing. And then the fresh Brussels sprouts too.
Yeah, the fresh Brussels sprouts, the Parmesan, but you can add crispy bacon and feta cheese. So, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And you do a whipped ricotta with organic honey, extra virgin olive oil, black pepper, with toasted bread. Whipped ricotta. I mean, I could come here and just work my way through the appetizer menu, and I'm sure people do.
You're a foodie.
Oh, totally.
So you're going to pick up on stuff like that. We went to a restaurant down in Charleston, South Carolina. It's Italian, very Italian. And they had whipped ricotta and toast on, as an appetizer. So we got to try that. It is a delicacy. And it's simple. Again, all it is whipped ricotta, and we put it, a little bit of salt in there, and it's very good ricotta. And then we make the PaPPo's bread every day. So it's toasted Papa bread. You got to try it.
I can't remember. I don't think I had any when I was here last. I don't know how long it's been on the menu, but I'll work my way through that.
It's new.
That's why. So your salads are fabulous, and you do this maple lemon vinaigrette, correct? And you do the salad with the cranberries and the goat cheese, and I think it's walnuts or pecans. Wow.
Yeah, and that's a good one as long as you leave the goat cheese out. I guess.
Why would I want to do a thing like
I'm
that?
just saying that if you're looking for something, if you're alpha gal and you're looking for something that doesn't have dairy in it, but no, it's yeah, you're right. The goat cheese and then the caramelized or the candied walnuts, I should say. That's one of my favorites, and I tend to go a little lower sugar in my life. Not that I don't, because we haven't even talked about the PaPPo's cookies, which...
Oh, we're getting there, don't worry. Yeah. If there's anything, though, about the salad, and all your salads are really good, but I love that one. If there's any problem at all with the salad, it is that if you bring it out first, I'm going to eat too much of it, and then I'm going to be a little bit full.
It's a cult. The most asked for dressing is that lemon maple vinaigrette. And I'm sorry, the answer is no. We cannot give you. But we do sell it here if you want it.
Okay, so I could purchase a little container to take home if I wanted to.
Okay, and I'm going to challenge any other restaurant out there right now. Is there anybody out there that makes a salad dressing that has 33 lemons? We have to use 30. That's just one batch, 33 lemons. And we use the rinds and then we squeeze the juice. It's made from scratch too. And like I said, I was going to say that I leave off the sugar off the walnuts because I love candied walnuts, but it's a little better for me. And that's the thing. We do have some, we have a lot of choices here. And if you have a need, ask for the manager. Ask your server.
Yeah, don't be shy. And, we've talked about a lot of foodie things here, but you've got all sorts of things here. You've got a caprese salad, toasted ravioli, breadsticks, burrata, garlic cheese bread, and salads. You've got all the salads you would expect for you to have in a restaurant like this. Everything from your... Yeah?
I do want to mention two things about the salads. Again, we mostly use a hydroponic lettuce, which does not require any pesticides. And then we got organic lettuce for the Caesar salad, the romaine. And we use our balsamic dressing. Again, has no dairy in it, but we make that ourselves. And then we also, I'm very, very, extremely proud of our Caesar dressing. And I go all over and eat Caesar salad. And usually, I hate to say this, but it's terrible. And you come here, and the Caesar salad is delicious. You can get it with chicken. You can get it with shrimp. You can get it with steak, whatever you want to put on it. But it is, the Caesar dressing, I think, is one of the best things here. And there's no anchovies in it. It tastes like there is, but there's not. It's the garlic that gives it the anchovy kind of, a little bit of a flavor there. But yeah, we're very proud of our salads. We sell salads on probably 30% of our orders.
Oh, they're brilliant. Okay.
It's also part of the lunch special, which I want to mention, because that's $12.99 for a really nice side salad and an 8-inch pizza, which usually people say, okay, you can get a 2-topping or a 1-topping. Ours is any specialty pizza, including the kitchen sink, as part of that special. So that's why when I pulled up today, there were so many cars and people here, and now they're pretty much cleared out because they're all back to work. We can get you in and out of here pretty quick.
Well, to think I could come in here and get like a Greek pizza and a salad for one price like that at lunchtime is just amazing.
You mentioned the Greek pizza. I had a friend named Nick the Greek, and probably everybody had a Greek friend named Nick. But I really did, and he was the one that got me into. He was a little bit older than we were, and he came to school at Lakewood, and he would they had him kicking field goals because he was he was like literally from like Greece, and he became one of my best friends. But he got me my first job in the restaurant business. So he actually came out. He'd passed away recently. He had some heart problems, but he came out and tried a PaPPo's pizza in Osage Beach and stayed for a few days, and he was so proud. He said it was the best pizza he's ever had. And he was a foodie. He was a chef. He was a really good chef and was at like a country club and everything. And but he He was Greek, and he had, that was his heritage. And so when I came up with the Greek pizza, I had to name it after Nick.
Good move on that one. Did Nick the Greek have the cookies? Because you brought up the cookies a minute ago, and can I just say you had me at brown butter, and then you really reeled me in at chocolate chip, but seriously, who is it you? Who's the angel among us who came up with that recipe?
So we ought to tell the young guys, that might be a pickup line. Mentioning the brown butter. Yeah. I know a place. But yeah, I did a lot of research, and we didn't know when we first opened for a year and a half, we didn't have, we would buy, our supplier would have, desserts that we would buy, cheesecakes and different things, and we're like, oh, no. So we're like, we got to make our own. So I came up with the idea of brown butter, and the story on that is I told my wife, she used to work at a cookie factory, and so she knew a lot about cookies, and she was always the one in the family, Melissa, that everybody would go to for cookies. Her dad, like, hey, can you make me your oatmeal cookie? And so I told her I was going to do this brown butter chocolate chip cookie. We came up with the idea that kind of went with beer, went with pizza, and we could make them, fresh to order. And she said, go ahead and try, but brown butter's going to be very difficult, and it's going to be hard to teach people. And that I said, okay, well, I'm going to try it. She goes, go ahead and try it. And I kind of always have to have her blessing on things. A lot of times things don't go well if I don't have her blessing. And don't tell her that. I hope she's not listening.
I'm sure she's not. That's how relationships are, though. We get it completely.
So I made it, and she comes in, and she goes, do you have any of those cookies? And I said, yeah, we just made a batch. We're just testing them. She said, okay. So she got her first cookies, and they were warm out of the oven, and we put sea salt on them when they come out. We use real Ghirardelli chocolate, brown the butter, and so she tries the cookie and goes, thanks a lot, you just ruined cookies for me. Yeah. Nobody's going to want my cookies anymore. And so now she just gets the cookie balls, and she puts them puts them in her freezer at home, so when the grandkids are over, they want cookies. And she's got them there, and so we sell as a company. There's weeks where we sell 15,000 cookies. There's it's almost every week we sell probably 10 or 12,000. And then now we've come out with 2 new cookies that are again made with brown butter, and they're the Snickerdoodle, which is like a cinnamon sugar kind of cookie. And then we have the sugar cookie. I thought chocolate was one of the basic food groups.
Of course, it's not.
No, I guess some people actually don't eat chocolate that much, and we would find that out when we would do a catering. And they say, "Hey, can you make a few of those cookies without the chocolate chips?" And I'm like, "You need to go see a doctor." Yeah. Well, it turns out there was more of those people than I thought, and sometimes people just want a little bit of a change. And so we are selling a lot of the Snickerdoodle and the sugar cookies. And if you haven't tried it, you've got to try them.
Yeah, if you are listening right now and you haven't had those, and try whatever you want, but really the chocolate chip, that chocolate brown butter chocolate chip with the sea salt is, in my opinion, the one that you should go with. I called you to deliver some. We had a producer at Ozarks Live that had a birthday, and she just couldn't stop talking about him. She and her boyfriend would come over here late at night before you closed, and they would have cookies and milk. And I said, well, I know exactly what I want to get her for her birthday. No, they're amazing. And you're doing a pizzuki now. Right. Is that new?
No, we've had that. Oh. That actually probably was the lead into the cookies, because again, I'll give Melissa credit here. It's really cool. We've been around 13 years, but I can actually remember how things came about. And Melissa had done some research and found that there was a pizza place up in Chicago that was making cookies in a skillet, chocolate chip, and cooking them in the pizza oven. So that kind of got us thinking about and then we said, well, what if, how you go, remember there was a hotel you went to that had fresh, warm cookies?
Oh, yeah, there still is. Yeah. The DoubleTree Hotel has the fresh cookies, and they're freaking delicious, I will say.
So that was kind of our background to say, okay, how can we do this so they're warm and they're and then we threw the sea salt on there. But yeah, the Pizookie is basically 5 cookies in a skillet, and then we use real organic vanilla bean ice cream. Again, it's organic, and chocolate sauce and caramel sauce, and it's a very shareable dessert. But I have seen my grandson Brixton eat a whole Pizookie by himself, and I've had people come in. I see they get a Pizookie and they don't even get a pizza. There was one guy I met came all the way from another state somewhere just to get a Pizookie up in Osage Beach. So it's so much fun. We have so many things that we can do and that we do, but we try to keep it so that we can duplicate what we're doing. So we have a lot, but we at the same time we don't have fryers, we don't have freezers, we don't have microwaves here. Everything is fresh, and that's the way we want to roll. So we want to be able to duplicate that, and we also want to get buy-in from our crew. And we got guys back there that was working at restaurants where they're on the grill or they're on the fryer, and they go home, they can't even get the grease off, and God bless people who do that, but their pores are all clogged up and they go home and they can't get the grease off. So we actually attract really good people in the kitchen here because they love the fact that they throw the pizza, they learn how to make pizza. It's fun to make pizza. Whoever's on the dough has probably the most fun. It's almost like a game Friday night. Like how can we give the best service and make the best products and give the best service, and we're going to be packed. We're going to have a line out the door, and let's get this done. And of course, we have carry out and delivery, which is through the roof on almost any night, but Friday, Saturday for sure. Sundays are real big here at this particular location.
Before my dad passed away, I brought him here on a Sunday, and we had some lunch, and he just absolutely loved it. But I love the way you talk about your staff, and I can tell you really care about them, and that I think it's an enjoyable place for them to be. It sounds like it's a fun place, and they get a real rapport with the customers who come in, the repeat customers.
And they're a team, and they enjoy each other. And the culture, it's a culture. And you'll hear, like if Brad's interviewed or, Max, who I think really took this store to the next level. And by the way, I got to mention Josh, Carlu, who took it even further. And now Brad is here. Brad's been here for the last 5 or 6 months because Josh is going. Max went to Osage Beach. Josh is going to Nixa, and so he's been spending his time either helping out here or Branson and Nixa, and so it's been a team, and I think I call them the kids. The people that work here really like the team and like the culture, and they also believe in the food. They believe in what we're doing. And then, then it relates to the customer. I've had people come in and say, thank you for making the food the way you make it, because the last place I worked, I had to apologize all the time for the food. And I had to make it right all the time. Now, let's talk about that. I don't want to skip over at all about our people, because you can design you can make a cool, you'll see this too. You see cool places, ultra cool. You'll see tricky, neat, interesting things on the menu. And then, the crew is not there, and they're desperate to hire people, and we don't have that. We're always looking for good people. But this is not an easy place to get a job. Although I'm not saying don't come in here and apply, because we're always looking, but there's all-stars attract all-stars, and that's, we have that. Any PaPPo's you go to, you will be amazed at the people, because that's the intrinsic part of it. That's the secret weapon in the whole thing. But here's the deal: you can't make that happen. That has to happen organically, and hopefully, as a leader, I can, kind of set the stage for that, a little bit. We try not to have a lot of friction, as I call it, when you come to work here. But hey, it's like, put your phones away. When you're going to come here, you're going to work. And this may be the first job for many people. And, it's funny, if you listen to very successful people, like I do, I'm very interested in how people made it, right? You probably do the same thing. Sure. And they always talk about the pizza place they worked at as a kid, or their first job working at a restaurant, or, they were a caddy somewhere or something like that. So this is the first job, this is the first job for a lot of people. And many people are trying to get from point A to point B. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, this is the place, okay? Because we're franchising, we're growing as a company. We're going to be needing support staff within the company, and we're also a career path to franchising is through the management, and you get reduced franchise fees when you franchise. By the way we look at it is, if you're trained, we're going to spend less time training you. If you're not as trained, then we're going to spend more time, so you're going to pay a little bit more money for your franchise fee. So that, to me, and this is where I say to young people, there is tremendous amount of opportunity if you're willing to work hard. And this is this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but if you apply yourself here at PaPPo's, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't take you to where you want to go. And the way things are right now is, you better be doing something that will take you to where you need to go, because with inflation and the cost of raising kids and having a family and a house and buying a house and all that, you really have to be able to do well and do above average. And so we want to be that place where people can grow. And I also want to say that I interrupt people, I was going to say before, that say that young people are not hard workers these days. And I'm going to tell you that if they're in the right place with the right leadership and people holding them management that holds them accountable, they will. And if culture of that place becomes like here, if you don't pull your weight, everybody knows it and everybody sees it. And guess what's going to happen? I mean, eventually we're going to talk to you, and we're going to get you to either change or move on. Right. But we are going, and we'll do it in a very nice professional way. But it's not fair. I'm watching Brad right now. You see him over there? He's got dirty dishes he's taken into the kitchen.
Okay, Brad's not in trouble, right?
No,
okay,
no,
I just wondered why you were watching Brad.
Well,
I'm just
because
messing
he's clearing the table. Yeah. He's the manager. Uh-huh. Most managers, you ever go into restaurants, they're sitting around. And our managers don't do that.
Well, and it sounds like this is the kind of place where you surround yourself with people who make you better.
And that's really the key. Yeah. Is if I can hire, we just hired a marketing director, Devin Rotro. He's here with us today. Mm-hmm. He's way better at creating content and social media than I'll ever be.
Well, that's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Social media.
But that's what he does, and he's way better than me. And people are saying, well, who's taking your pictures and who's putting this posting? And we're going to be doing more and more of that. We're going to be getting into less of the traditional TV and that kind of stuff and doing more grassroots, what they call it, viral,
Well, and you're meeting people where they are, because everybody's on their phone all day, and everybody keeps up with everybody. See, what are you doing? What are you eating? Where are you going? Where do I meet you? What have you found that's pretty to put up on Facebook and Insta? TikTok. How'd you get the name PaPPo?
Okay, can't leave that out, right?
No, I mean everybody needs to know that.
Okay, so my oldest son had a daughter. And I saw her when she was about 8 months old, and they came to the lake, and then they moved up to Philadelphia.
Wow.
And they were in Westchester County up in Philadelphia, and he's a pastor of a church up there. So by now she's 3, and Melissa says, hey, why don't we go visit and go see Mariah, because we haven't seen her. And this is my granddaughter. So Melissa and I fly up there, and we get, they pick us up, and we hadn't seen her yet. Jamie picked us up, and when we walk in the house, and she yells out, "PaPPo," like "PaPPo," and she comes up and hugs me, grabs my legs and hugs me, and she's like, the whole weekend, "PaPPo, PaPPo, PaPPo." So coincidentally, that was just before we opened the PaPPo's down here, and we couldn't figure out a name. We had been the Village Market up in Sunrise Beach, so we don't want to call it that, right? So we got to think, what cool name could we use? And we could not think. All the cool names were taken. And it was like, and there was no AI back in those days to generate, So we're like, we're lost. I mean, we are truly like, we're all dressed up and ready to go with no name. And she had called me PaPPo, so my wife said, why don't we just call PaPPo's? And we asked the kids, I call, Brianna and John, and they said, perfect. And I go, really? Okay. Yeah.
So thank you, Mariah. Who needs AI? You got Mariah.
I got Mariah, and Mariah is now 16, and she works down in Huntsville at the Huntsville store and makes extra money when she's not babysitting. She's I can't pay her as much as she makes at babysitting, but she just got her license, and shout out to Mariah. She's amazing. Yeah, out of the blue. How does that?
Out of the blue. Yeah. It just, she just somehow knew it, and it stuck. Yeah. And what a thing. She has to be so proud of that, and she just came up with it.
Her dad was trying to get royalties out of that too,
Can't blame a guy for trying. I notice on your logo, it's PA with two, it looks like capital P's in the middle. Is there any significance to that, or is it just a cute logo?
Again, it was one of those things that happened that we all kind of said at the beginning, and I don't remember who said it, if it was me or somebody else, but we're like, we need to have two capital P's in the middle. And if you take those capital P's out, it doesn't look, the logo just falls off. It doesn't look that good.
Well, there was just something about it that struck me, and I thought, I don't know if those two P's have any significance, or if it just, it stacks up in a way that's eye-catching,
I've become very, very cognizant of textures and shapes and things. That's one of the things that I had started to develop years ago, and I was a photographer for a while, and I just noticed that certain letters speak a certain say something, and so the capital P, I wanted to put more P's out there because it was the pizza business, and emphasize the P's. So that's how that happened, and we've never changed that either. So that's pretty cool.
I wouldn't change a thing. Is there anything new coming to PaPPo's you can tell us about?
I think the biggest thing that I could say that's new is that we've come to a place where we are we're setting a goal to open 300 locations. And we're in the process right now of scale. It's called scaling, right? Sure. And There's a book out there called The Art of Scaling that all the management folks have read, and we've brought on Devin, we brought on Tim Thompson to help build stores as a project manager. He was a CEO of a company that he sold, and so he's got all this experience. And so we're ramping up, and we've got some talented people within that probably want to move up and do some different things. So we're going to ramp it up. It's going to be mostly franchising. Through franchising, we're going to really build out Missouri and Central Missouri from a corporate standpoint, mostly. But it's going to be mostly franchising that is going to be getting us to 300 locations. And it's really interesting for those business fanatics out there. It really opened my eyes to read that book, and it said in there, it was forwarded by Anthony Robbins, and it said if you are trying to grow by 10% or even 20 or 30, you're going to fail. And it was like a light bulb just went off. And one of the things that we run into, Joy, and by the way, I appreciate you having me today.
Oh, I could talk to you all day.
Well,
this is great stuff.
I've always felt a connection when we did I don't know how many segments on Ozark Live as well, and I think the connection is the food and your enthusiasm for the food, and I think that when you look at where we're at, if the people come to us and say, when are you going to open in my market? Like we have people here in Springfield, they want us to open up on the south side, so to speak, over there by the highway. Right. And people want us to open on the north side. And then you got people who want us to open in Republic, and they want us to open in Nixa. And this is all over Missouri, but it's all over. Like I have somebody bugging me about Iowa today.
Wow. Well, when I was in here with Ozarks Live, there was a guy that came in and got a table, and I want to say he was from around St. Robert. And he said, I drove all the... You remember that? We drove all the way over here just to eat, and he said, I want you to build one over here, and then you did.
Yeah. I remember, and that same guy came back later, and he's visited every PaPPo's. And he's prides himself on visiting every PaPPo's. So.
Give him some swag. He needs kind of one of these that you're wearing. Did you really?
Yeah, I actually did. I believe I took care of him, but yeah, so... Yeah, and you talk about swag and uniforms and merchandise. We're in the process of trying to figure out how to keep up with that because we have so many people that want to buy T-shirts and hats and things like that. And quite frankly, that's been an area that we have not kept up in. So we now one person that I have left out of this conversation that I do not want to exclude is Caitlin Oxenrider. So when we were looking at opening, she was actually the manager downtown. She's from Springfield. She went to school up in Columbia. She went to Mizzou, and she was in that restaurant management program. And so when we were going to open here, we said to her, "Why don't you open the store, with us?" For us, and so she pretty much she did a lot of the heavy lifting here and did a great job. We bought out a pizza place that was here, so we kept most of the bones of the place, so to speak, the bar and the chairs and things like that. But then we repainted and we restructured the kitchen and things like that, put up TVs, and so she really did all that. And then she started a trivia, which she does now like every third Tuesday, I believe it is, of the month. And then it's packed in here. It's wall to wall.
I didn't even know you did that.
Yeah, you have to. People call and make reservations. And so she's been ordering the merchandise for us. She does a great job on ordering the merchandise, and her and I kind of come up with designs and things like that. But we've got to figure out how we can take that to the next level and really. But I did want to mention her because she's a very, very important part of getting this going off the ground here. And I'm probably leaving somebody out, but it really is a team effort, and I can't say enough about the staff that we've had here over the years. And I always tell these kids that are doing this, this is a temporary job. For some of them, it's a temporary job, and I'm always like saying, pay it forward, because what you're walking into now, the server that was here 7 years ago wasn't getting those kind of tips, or we didn't have that kind of business back then. So they built the business, the bartenders that were here back then, the pizza makers. So if you're here, pay it forward for the next people that are going to MSU, or they're going to OTC, or wherever they're at, or Mizzou or whatever, and have that kind of in your mind. And I think that's one of the things that young people look for these days. They're looking for a bigger reason than just going and punching in and punching out. And so the big new thing is we're kind of slow to change things on the menu. I have done a lot of change lately. I'm probably done for the most part. Maybe here and there I might do something. But for the most part, another pet peeve I have is to go into a restaurant that you enjoy, and you find a whole new menu, and you're like, what happened to the favorite thing that I had before? So we're going to be doing some of that here and there. Like we had a Mexicana pizza that we took off the menu, and then that's coming back. It'll be on Cinco de Mayo. During that time period, we'll have that back again. And then, you mentioned the Irish Reuben. We'll have that during, the St. Patrick's Day time. And annually, I think we're going to have that contest where people that they call it the ultimate pie-off. Now, here's something I got to mention, okay? You've got to sign up for the frequent. If you're not signing up for the frequent buyer program here, we call it the Crust Fund. Okay, it's like sign up for the Crust Fund so your kids can eat more pizza, right? And you can. So I've got in my Crust Fund, I don't know, I've got like $500 or $600, and I'm saving it up. So when I come in, they say, "Do you want a discount?" I say, "No, I want to pay full price." Because I want to see what it costs people, and I believe that the pizza has a value, and so I build up these points. But it works out to be almost $5 for every $100 you spend. It's like almost 5%, and we don't discontinue them. We don't play games where they disappear on you if you don't use them. So you can save them up, and I'm telling you. Get the Crust Fund, get signed up for it, because we're also, Devin is going to be doing some, some mail outs and, emails and blasts and some different opportunities. We might do like Double Point Tuesday or something like that, different things. So if you want to stay connected in, it's a good way, but you're also, you're making some good credits towards your future pizza,
Right, all those Crust Fund babies out there need to know what night they come in and get like their double points. Now, this place is just amazing, and I love your philosophy of the business. I love the way it really is a team effort here. The food is great, and I mean, my goodness, you have expanded so much, and you still have your eyes open for bigger and better and bringing the people what they love. So Chris Galloway, PaPPo of PaPPo's Pizzeria, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you driving all the way to Springfield from Camden just to be part of Savor the Ozarks.
I know you've been bugging me to come down, and I was like, I got to do this, because I'm about to go out of town a few times, and I'm like, I got to do this before we go. But yeah, it's always good, and let's not make this the last. Let's do something else. Let's figure something else out. We'll figure something out, because you're such a great ambassador for the Ozarks and the food scene. And really, I love that because we go down to Branson and there's restaurants here in Springfield that we love, and we want to know more. Like, where are the good spots?
Well, and the people who eat at these restaurants want to know more about you. They want to know about the people who started it.
That.
Where did you come from?
Yeah.
They find things in common with you they didn't know they had.
Yeah.
And I've talked to so many restaurateurs around here, and I always learn something, and it's just so much fun to think of the fun, wonderful community we live in here. Here. And the people that we have here, we're very blessed.
And along those lines, again, the previous company I was with, it was all about them. Like, we were the best. We were everything. Nobody could touch. And the way I look at it is, we're in a community, and we're not the only pizza place in town. And I'm happy if people go somewhere and get a good pizza, or they go get a good steak somewhere. We're all in it together. If their pizza place ran out of pepperoni, they could call me. I'll sell it to them. I'm not going to have them be out of pepperoni. And that's kind of my mentality, is that it's a community, and we want to be a part of that community. And certainly Springfield, I don't know if Springfield appreciates what PaPPo's really represents in terms of the business side of it, and you've touched on it a lot today. You've hit it right. You've nailed it. To me, it's kind of cool to have a place that's going to be going 300 stores and started downtown Springfield. Yeah. And I know sometimes we get interviewed, but I think at some point people are going to realize, wow, this came from Springfield, just like Cashew Chicken and whatever else came from here, Bass Pro Shops. But someday people are going to go, yeah, that's where PaPPo's started.
Yep, that's the mothership right there. It started right there. Well, I can't thank you enough. Chris Galloway, keep on keeping on, man. Thank you so much.
Keep on keeping on. Keep it real, keep it fresh. Thank you for having me.
Be sure to go to AroundTheOzarks.com to sign up for our daily newsletter, where you can get every episode of Savor the Ozarks, plus all our other podcasts, events, and contests straight to your inbox. And what are your favorite dishes in the 417? You have any restaurants you'd like me to visit? Email me at joy@AroundTheOzarks.com.